the January transfer window, it's obviously like the 3rd of January at this point. I can't imagine that there's a massive amount that's going on as yet. But you know, what are you expecting from this month, and you know, how do you approach this window?
Well, there's not massive amount going on at the moment. There's nothing going on at the moment, to put it straight. You know, there's no imminent incomings or outgoings at the moment. However, you know, that may change on a daily basis. But yeah, I think that looking at the squad, I think we've got a big squad. That probably does need streamlining, I've got to be honest with you, whether they're bits and pieces we've got tied up with that. And, you know, we're kind of in discussions all the time. It's an ongoing process. There's no, like I say, there's no immediate incomings or outgoings. So it's a pretty quiet start to the window at the moment. But like I say, knowing the window like I do know it, it can change on a daily basis.
Do you want incomings? I mean, I know you're going to look to maybe move some players on, but are you looking at incomings as well?
Well, I think you're constantly looking at how we can improve the squad, even outside the window. I think you're always looking at, you know, how can we improve, how can we evolve. I think that's just a normal kind of thing in football. But I'm happy with the players that are currently playing and in and around the squad. I think they've done extremely well. So yeah, but the window, you just don't know what it can churn up during it more than anything. We've got a good team in the background who work on recruitment. I trust in them a lot. We have good meetings, but like I say, I think it's one of them situations that can change on a daily basis.
Sonny Finch, recalled by Middlesbrough, just I suppose one of those situations where a young kid just couldn't work his way into the team.
Yeah, it's a shame really, because I think that we, at the time when I first come in, we had Ellis Harrison was suspended for 3 games, if you remember that far back. Callum Hendry was injured. We didn't have Scott Hogan in the building, and Sonny kind of got on the pitch, scored, you know, and was involved in some good games, and yeah, it was just unfortunate that we signed Scott Hogan, and not unfortunate we signed Scott Hogan, I don't mean it like that, but in terms of for Sonny's situation, it was unfortunate that we brought Scott in, and obviously Ellis served his suspension, and Callum got fit, and they're 3 really strong players in kind of maybe in front of him his time of his career. But I do believe that Sonny will be a very, very good player for somebody in the future.
Another player coming back from a loan spell, you recalled Charlie Waller, of course, a couple of days ago, but Dara Burns, who's been out in Ireland for the last year, are there long-term plans for him, or is it going to be one of those situations where you have to kind of see where he's at?
Yeah, I think it's more suck it and see with that one. I think we're happy for him to stay out there. He's obviously playing football. I think he's doing really well. So we're happy for that to continue at the moment. Again, things may change really quickly, so you know there's always a chance he can come back.
A performance on New Year's Day that was gritty, determined, a real performance that I think your side needed, and especially to get back to winning ways. Yeah,
for sure. We showed a real desire, character to see it over the line. I thought when I watched it back, I felt we played some good football in the first half, and there was moments where we controlled it in the second half, but them moments wasn't enough and weren't long enough either. You know, we get to sort of like 7, 8, 9, 10 passes, and we feel we have to force an issue. When we don't, we probably need to kind of stay on the ball a little longer. We come up against a good side. I think that's really clear to see. I think they're a good side and ask a lot of questions of you, but we probably sat a little deep in the second half. I think we just became a little bit anxious, a bit nervy about the fact that we were 2-0, and then obviously they scored the free kick, 2-1, then it becomes a long last 20 minutes, and naturally I think you end up sitting deep and you end up kind of not playing the style of football that we want to see. We end up sitting deep, defend resiliently, but then kick it up the pitch and get ready to defend again, which we don't want to do. But obviously that can kind of naturally happen in a game, in a state of a game like that. But what I was pleased with was the desire and the passion that we showed to see the game through. Game
management at the end is I suppose a key to any victory sometimes, isn't it? And in in that situation in particular.
Yeah, it was really pleasing to see how we defended the box and people throwing themselves on the line, and Tom McGill making that unbelievable scoop save, and Aaron Nemain being involved in that action, and I saw MJ Williams throwing himself in front of balls, and Connor Evans heading it out with a bandage on his head. It was just an incredible kind of togetherness that we showed, and a real desire to win that game of football. So really pleased with that.
Speaking of Connor Lemonhigh Evans, walks off with a band. Well, I say walks off. He kind of hobbled off at the end because he was getting treatment after the full-time whistle. Bandage on his head with a couple of stitches in there. How's he getting on? And the likes of as well Joe White, who came off, and
they're fine. Summers. Yeah, they're fine. He got a bang to his head, obviously, quite a nasty one. It was when Aaron Nemain went through. Probably should have scored in that moment actually, and it was a good chance for us. But yeah, got a really nasty gash on his head, got a couple of stitches, got a bang on his knee as well, a couple of stitches there as well. So he was in the wars for the time he was on the pitch, but he kept going. He kept going.
His spares at least.
He was unbelievable. I mean, even in the last dying moments, he blocked a cross, which then became a corner. Then he headed the corner out with his bandage on his head. So yeah, he showed a real desire. So yeah, he'll be fine. He'll train today. And Joe White will be fine as well. He just got a little bit of a kick, on his calf. So yeah, he'll be fine. And
disappointing for Kane Thompson-Summers as well, given that he was so good on the game before New Year's Day, the Crew draw, and then to miss out in Chesterfield.
Yeah, no, we were preparing for him to play against Chesterfield. He was in the team to play. We prepared the team, and at the end of the training session, he said he felt his thigh. So we got him scanned, and there's just a little bit of irritation in there. Won't be too far away though, but he certainly couldn't have played in the game. So yeah, disappointing, because we thought he played well against Crewe, liked his performance, and we wanted to give him some more game time against Chesterfield, but wasn't to be. But he'll be back in no time, and back in contention for the squad.
We mentioned it briefly on Wednesday night, but the performances I thought of Ellis Harrison and Callum Hendry coming in for the first starts in the league under yourself show, first of all, that it's a squad game, but that everybody's ready when they're called upon.
Yeah, I think one thing that's been really clear to see is that Callum and Ellis have trained really well in this period, and I think it's so important that they do, because in a minute they're going to be needed. I think that's really clear. I felt it was a decision I had to make. It was a tough decision. Scott's been amazing for us, scored some great goals and set up a lot of goals as well. He's, his XG creation and everything else has been really good. And he works extremely hard and presses well. But I'm just worried that he's not done a pre-season. He's played a lot of 90-minute games, and we'd played the games over the Christmas period in a short space of time. I felt it'd be probably irresponsible of me to pick him again for the Chesterfield game. He would tell you different, but because he wants to play, which is great, obviously. And I just felt it was the right thing to do. Ellis come in and was amazing. I thought he did really well, and so did Callum as well. So yeah, but that, like I said to you after the game, that's what a squad's there for. We need these players to play football. We're not always going to try and pick the same team. It's great if we do, because it means we're winning. But you need to have these players ready. And one thing I will say about them two players, they train extremely well all the time, which means that when they do get their opportunity on the pitch, they are ready.
And we've mentioned that right-sided number 10 position before, and it's kind of been a rotating cast of players that you've had. But Callum come in, and he said he's learning the position as well. But he came in and did really well.
Yeah, we bumped him slightly higher. He wasn't almost like an out-and-out 10. He kind of like a 9.5 in effect. And we played Liam Kelly behind him as the pivot. But if you noticed, a lot of the actions, Liam Kelly jumps to become an 8 and Callum jumps to become a 9 sort of thing. So it's like a bit of a switch in formation while we proceed up the pitch. and gain territory up the pitch. You know, we call it a shape shift. So we go from a box into a single pivot and 2 8s and 2 strikers as we progress through the pitch. So that was kind of the idea behind it. I think it suits Callum probably playing that role more so than an out-and-out 10.
You mentioned how important all of the squad's going to be. I mean, January and February are just jam-packed with games. It feels like we're going to be Saturday, Tuesday for, I think, the next 8 weeks or so. It just highlights again, doesn't it, just how important everyone's going to be, not just over Christmas, but for the next 3-4 months.
Of course, yeah, and this is why, like I say, this is why we build a squad. This is why it's important that we coach the players that are not playing as much football. You know, that's really important that they get their load, they get their minutes on the training pitch, and they get their understanding of how we play as well. Because, like you say, we're going to need every one of them. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough January and February. A lot of away games as well. So we're going to be on the road a lot. So yeah, but it is what it is. We take that challenge on, and we look forward to another tough game on Saturday here. That's
just it. I mean, they come here off the back of 5 straight wins. I mean, you guys know what it's like to be riding that crest of a wave, such as Salford are. You know what they'll be coming here and the confidence they'll have.
Yeah, for sure. I think taking off my experiences of when we went on was it 6 game?
Yeah,
6 games we went unbeaten, didn't we? It almost feels like you're never going to lose, you know, and they'll be feeling the same, so they'll be really high in confidence. Watched their game the other night from the Harrogate game. They were really strong, powerful, robust, you know, defensively really strong, but also have some real kind of attacking threats as well. So we know we've got to be at our very best again in order for us to get anything from this game.
And you know, Carl Robinson is a guy who's well known around these hallways. It's nearly 10 years since he left, but still is a very popular character around Milton Keynes.
Yeah, Robbo's top man, good lad. Known him a long time. Was out in Ireland with him many years ago doing the A licence and got to know him quite well there, and then obviously come across him throughout the years next to him on the touchline, and been a great manager, really experienced, and he's obviously got them, you know, really rocking now. So be a tough game, but yeah, we'll look forward to seeing him.
Nice one, thank you.